Hey guys, I'm Yoko. Today I'm gonna show you two kinds of plant-based quick bread recipe. Quick breads are easy bread right without yeast, so that you don't have to wait a long time, just mix and bake. What I'm making today is plant-based buttermilk biscuit, which is my favorite rich quick bread. Also, I'm gonna show you how to make strawberry shortcake with it. Because it's summer, it's time for the berries. And also, I'm gonna make non-dairy Brazilian cheese bread. Or pan de queijo. This is cheesy, stretchy, chewy bread made of tapioca flour. It's a very easy and fun gluten-free recipe. I think you'll love it. So without further ado, let's get baking. The first recipe I'm gonna be making is plant-based buttermilk biscuits. They're light, airy, flaky, and taste so rich. So first, I'm going to cut half a cup of non-dairy butter. I'm going to cut these into 1 centimeter or 1/4 inch cubes. Here I'm using unsalted vegan butter. These non-dairy butters might be not as easily cut as regular butters, so they don't have to be perfect cubes. Here I want to cut into small chunks so that I can mix them easily later. Now I'm going to put this back into the fridge to keep this cold. Next, I'm going to measure out 2 cups of spelt flour, which is 280 grams according to the package of my spelt flour. If you have a scale, I recommend to measure the flour with scale instead of scooping out of cups, because sometimes scooping out of the cup can be very inaccurate, and there might be a chance to add more or less flour than you're supposed to use. But in case you only had a cup, I recommend to use a spoon to scoop out the flour and pour into a cup to measure. In this way, you can fluffen up the flour and the result could be more accurate. And here I'm leveling my flour with my bench scraper. And here's 1 cup. So for the wet ingredients, I'm gonna make non-dairy buttermilk. I'm going to mix 1/4 cup of soy milk and 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. The acidity of the apple cider vinegar make protein in the soy milk curdle and it start to thicken up. Now let's move on to the dry ingredients. Into a spelt flour, I'm gonna add 1.5 tablespoons of coconut sugar, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt. I like to mix everything with a whisk to combine. Now into the flour mixture, I'm going to add chilled non-dairy butter. Here I have to work first to prevent the butter to melt. Here I'm using this pinching motion to mix in the butter. The goal here is to make the butter into small chunks and coat with the flour. I'm also doing this rubbing motion to break the butter into small pieces. So when the mixture looks like a panko breadcrumb, I'm gonna add non-dairy buttermilk to the mixture. I'm gonna give a quick stir with my spatula until all the dough coming together. Now transfer it to the working surface. You don't have to flour it or anything. And I'm gonna quickly pat into a square shape with my bench scraper. Using a bench scraper or knife, I'm gonna cut into 4 squares and stack one another to make a tall tower. I'm gonna press down and do the same process again. Here I'm trying to make the layer of the butter. Now for the 3rd time, I'm gonna shape this into a nice rectangular shape, about 1 inch tall, and cut into equal quadrants and transfer it to a baking tray. If you wanna go fancy, you can make it circle using a round cookie cutter. Now let's bake this at 350 Fahrenheit or 180 Celsius for 20 minutes. Meanwhile, I'm gonna make raw strawberry compote so that I can assemble the biscuits into a strawberry shortcake afterwards. Here I have thawed 2 cups of frozen strawberries. I just left these on the countertop for 30 minutes to an hour to thaw. Now I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of coconut sugar and 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. I'm going to mix well to make this extra saucy and sweet raw compote. Now the biscuits should be baked nicely. I'm gonna remove from the oven, and to see if it's baked through or not, I'm gonna flip one of the biscuits and see the bottom. If it's nicely golden brown, it's done. Now let it cool and enjoy. You can enjoy that with cream and jam, or butter and honey, or maple syrup, But today I'm gonna make it into a strawberry shortcake. So I'm gonna open up the biscuit in half and I'm gonna scoop out the few drops of vanilla coconut yogurt. You can also use the coconut whip if you like. Then I'm gonna add raw strawberry compote on top and layer the other half of the biscuit. For the finishing touch, I'm gonna add the cherries because they are so pretty and delicious, and finish it off with a sprinkle of cheese. So enjoy your strawberry shortcake! I love the nutty flavor of spelt flour, but if you don't have spelt flour in hand, you can also use whole wheat flour or all-purpose flour. But I personally like spelt or whole wheat flour to make it a little bit wholesome, and that gives extra flavor and nutrient. Either way, this recipe is easy and made with few ingredients, and your kitchen will be filled with rich butter flavor. The next recipe is vegan Brazilian cheese bread, or you can call this pão de queijo, if I'm saying right. These are cheesy, stretchy, so chewy, they taste like a real cheese. So let's start with making a flax egg. Into a small bowl, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of flax meal and 3 tablespoons of water. The flax meal gets thick and slimy and work as an egg replacement and bind the dough together. So let it sit aside and soak up while we prepare other ingredients. Into a bowl, I'm going to add 3/4 cup of tapioca flour, which is 90 grams of tapioca flour. Then I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 3 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, half a teaspoon of salt, and a half a teaspoon of baking powder. Then I'm going to mix well to combine. Now let's mix the wet ingredients. Into a bowl of flax meal, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of olive oil and 4.5 tablespoons of soy milk. And I'm going to mix well to combine. Here I mainly focus on dissolve the flax meal into soy milk because sometimes flax meal stuck together on the bottom of the bowl, and not worry about emulsify everything. Before combine wet and dry, let's prepare the pan for bake. I'm using mini muffin tins and I'm going to coat all over the surface with olive oil. Now I'm gonna pour wet ingredients to that bowl of dry ingredients. It seems like not enough liquid at the beginning, but as the flour absorbs the liquid, this butter becomes nice and smooth. And for the extra indulgence, I'm going to add 1/4 cup of vegan cheese. I'm using vegan cheddar cheese from Yoko's, but use whichever your favorite. But if you don't have one, you can omit the vegan cheese whatsoever, and this cheese bread still tastes very good. Now I'm going to pour the butter into a muffin tin. The recipe should make about 10 cheese bread. At this point, the surface looks a little bit rough and not smooth, but you don't have to worry about it. They're going to be expanded eventually. The conventional cheese bread doesn't use baking powder, but since we are not using the egg in this recipe, there's nothing to leaven the dough. So I'm adding baking powder to give a little rise. I tried without it, but they turned out too chewy and dense. Also, I'm going to brush the extra virgin olive oil over the surface to give a beautiful finish. Now I'm going to give a few taps and let's bake at 350 Fahrenheit or 180 Celsius for 15 minutes. So after the bake, these little cheese breads are expanded and they should smell amazing and cheesy, so let them sit and cool completely. So when the baking tin is cooled down enough to touch, let's take all the breads out. Some of them comes out easily, but I think some of them are stuck to the pan. In that case, I'm going to use toothpicks to scrape down the side to separate the bread from the pan. And these breads are ready to be enjoyed. Can you see how cheesy and stretchy they are? They are definitely the best when they are fresh out of the oven. So enjoy immediately while they are still warm. I think they are great for snack. I think kids love these cheesy snack. I like enjoy these with a glass of wine. I must say they become dry as time goes. In that case, you can steam it or microwave it to bring it back to life. So enjoy the bite of these vegan Brazilian cheese bread. So these are my favorite plant-based quick bread recipes, and it can be enjoyed as a meal or snack. I hope you find this helpful. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next one.